Isn't she so pretty? Like, girl, if you see this video, you are so gorgeous. Yeah, she's really pretty. Okay, so let's see what she has to say.
I'm trying to learn to do is respond to my husband, not the statement. My husband says something that I don't agree with, that frustrates me, that irritates me, that offends me. My first thought is to respond to the statement that he said that I did not agree with and that I did not like. More times than not, that lands me in a position where I'm saying a whole bunch of stuff that don't really have to be said. So I'm trying to learn to take into consideration what he said, but in my response, also consider that I am responding to my husband, to my man, and his inner child, but also to the man who put a ring on this finger and takes very good care of me.
Okay, a word. I'm loving all of this, okay? All of it. She said a word. So let's go ahead and applaud her, okay? She's talking about emotional intelligence and how she's making a conscious choice to respect her man and her man's nature. She talked about she's not only speaking to her husband, the man, but she's also talking to his inner child. So she's talking to his past, what has created him, what has molded him into the man who she knows today. Maybe your husband doesn't like a certain word or a certain tone or a certain demeanor. You're speaking to the whole man, not the statement. So that's what she's talking about, y'all. She's speaking to what makes the man and her husband. The man who she chose to say yes to take last name. The man who she chose to be her covering, to be her head, the head of the house, the head of her. So she's saying, as a newlywed, and this is a beautiful thing, that she's learning how to speak to her husband. She's learning how to show respect by her speech and her tone, and even in her mind and her heart to respect her man. That's what I'm picking up. So she's talking about her choice to increase her feminine value, to increase her emotional intelligence by being conscious of how she speaks to her husband. And ladies, this starts in your heart first. So whatever you're thinking in your heart is going to flow out of your mouth. So that's why I talk about checking your heart, checking yourself. Your heart is you, who you are, your inner thoughts. You know how witty you are. So you need to check this right here first, and then that's going to then lead to what's in your mind and then what comes out of your mouth. You have to be aware, ladies, of the emotions and the thoughts that come into your mind, and then you have to think about the situation and whom you're talking to. So she, in this case, is thinking about who she's talking to, and in this case, it is her husband, her man. So ladies, you have to understand your man's nature. You have to understand your man's nature. So please, ladies, respect that a man has a nature that is different from yours. Okay? And it's necessary. So respect that first. And then as you get to know your man, you'll get to know his quirks and the things he likes and don't like. The words that he will find respectful and disrespectful or as a slight. Get to know your man's nature. Okay? And how you get to know his nature and understand his nature is by speaking to him. Communication, but also by listening. Listening is a part of communication. Communicating is not just you blabbing. Listen to him. Listen to how, listen. He'll tell you what he likes and doesn't like, during the dating stage or whatever the case is. Listen, take heed to what he's saying because he's telling you how to love him. He's telling you how to speak to him. And when you do that, that is a way to show respect. That is a way to show love. That is a way to show regard and compassion. That's how you get the ring, ladies. That's a part of it. So, I'm going to talk about 3 different things, ladies, that I want to touch on. 1, thinking before you speak. 2, what is the message? And what did you do for him to bring this up? And 3, when you do speak and do respond, open your response with calmness and respect and with a willingness to help him solve the problem. Thinking before you speak, ladies. Consider what you say and your tone and your demeanor. I talk about this all the time in my Arguing Fair video and even past live streams. Ladies, y'all have to understand that your man comes with an ego. Men have egos. It is what it is. Especially a man who is confident in himself. I'm not saying he's some jerk, but men have egos. So just accept it and deal with it. So in that, dealing with his personality, dealing with his masculinity, dealing with who he is, comes with consideration. I know my husband has told me in the past, it's not necessarily what you said, but it's how you said it. It's the energy you're giving off. It's the way you said it. Ladies, y'all know. Y'all know how y'all do. I know how we do, y'all. You're going to be calm and you're going to say the right words, but it's that vibe that you're giving off. That attitude vibe you're giving off. The demeanor and energy of disapproval or disdain or dislike. Also, I recommend, especially when you're not trying to necessarily start an argument, but you feel like you have something to say, think about the first thing that comes to your mind, and then you're probably going to need to alter it just a little bit, just so you don't come off as rude, as disrespectful. She says she's learning to respond to her man, to her husband, and not the statement. We're going to talk about the statement. Moving on, respond to your husband, ladies. Respond to your man, your boyfriend, the man who you love, who you care for, who you appreciate, who you admire, who you respect, the man who you like to have sex with. Okay? In this case, if he's your husband, the man who made you an honest woman, the man who said, she is the one who I want to be in my life, to love and to hold. She's the one who I want to, bear my children, my legacy, who I want to share my life with. That's the man you're responding to. So you also have to remind yourself of that, ladies. Remind yourself that this is the man who I love, who I respect, who I cherish, who I want, who I need. Because I understand that, ladies, sometimes when you're upset, neck start rolling, lips start popping, and your attitude begins to speak for you. But sometimes you say things that you don't need to say, just like the young lady said in this video. She said when she responds to the statement, she realized she says a lot of things that doesn't need to be said. Because you're speaking out of your emotions. You're not thinking before you're doing, just like that female in the last video where I said other women should hold each other accountable. In that video, she was reacting off of her emotions, and she did not make a good decision. She didn't make a classy decision. She didn't make a decision that would deem her as wife material, as emotionally intelligent, as a mature woman, a self-aware woman, a woman who can express her, frustration, irritation, or offense in a classy and, in a classy way that displays, again, decorum and maturity. It's time to grow up, ladies. Stop allowing your emotions to control you. Stop allowing your emotions to always cause you to fly off of the cuff. Number 2, what is his message? And what did you do for him to bring it up? It's not always his fault as to why you're arguing, or as to why you have an attitude, or as to, why he is upset with you, or whatever the case is. Or, men use words to communicate directly and straight to the point. We Black men are confident, intelligent, and assertive. Okay? Assertive means, again, straight to the point, saying what they have to say, saying what they mean the first time, and meaning what they say. And you have to respect that. And you have to understand that. That's why I talk about learning your man, ladies. I can tell when I really piss my husband off. I can see it in his demeanor, in his face, in his words, and even the way the words come out of his mouth. But anyway, what is his message? You may not like what he said or how he said it, but what was he trying to say? Was he saying that your tone was wrong, or was he saying he felt disrespected, or what you did was disrespectful to him, to the relationship, or whatever? What's the message? What is his bottom line? Clearly, that means you did something that he doesn't approve of, that he doesn't appreciate, that he doesn't like, or maybe you just need to get better in a certain area. What is his message? Because 9 times out of 10, ladies, he's telling you a way to be a better woman for yourself, for the relationship, for your family, or whatever the situation is. And mind you, he loves you, so he doesn't have any ill intent toward you when what he went in his words or his meaning behind what he's saying, which is a perfect segue into the statement. It's y'all against the problem. It's y'all against the issue, not him and the problem against you, or you against him and the problem. Y'all are supposed to be a team. Remain open and calm. And again, being willing to help him solve the problem. Okay, we're having communication issues. How can we fix this? Why are we having communication issues? Is it what I'm saying? Is it what she's saying? Is it or is it how? Or can we just not agree on how to deal with it? What is the root cause of the issue? And how can we solve it as a couple and as a union? Because that is what builds trust. That is what builds clear and honest and open communication. Thus building a stronger bond between the two of you. But you cannot expect for him to want to be in a relationship with you and stay in a relationship with you and still talk to you if you're constantly beating him down in conversation and disagreement in your tone. Because every time, since you're not checking your attitude and checking your tone, he doesn't even want to talk to you to begin with. So he just avoids conflict. But eventually he's just going to avoid you. And if you want this man, show this man that you want him by improving your communication skills, by being willing to improve, by learning him more and adjusting. Still express how you feel. If he's saying something a certain way or using a certain words that you don't like or appreciate, still communicate that. But listen, he's going to respond to your calmness and your openness. Even when you're critiquing him, he's going to respond to that. So if you're calm, he's going to respond, calmly, respectfully, whatever. But if you have, an uber attitude and nasty vibe about you, that could escalate his frustration. That can escalate anger, especially if this is something you do on a consistent basis. It's going to get to him, and you have to realize that. You have to be honest about that. This is why, ladies, I'm saying remain calm and respectful and being willing to solve the problem, because when you remind yourself that it's us against the problem, that is when your attitude should back up, should calm down. Emotional intelligence, ladies. Thanks for being here, The Condemned. I appreciate you. Once I hear her say, I don't care, while we are talking about a serious matter, time for me to leave. Because at this point, you cut yourself off, ladies. You put your guard up. You're saying you're not willing to hear him out. You're not willing to take in whatever critique or whatever that he's saying. You're not ready to receive him. You're not ready to receive the information he's trying to give to you. So what's the point? But then you want him to listen to you. You want him to care for you and your emotions, your moody self. Come on, ladies. We know we can be very fickle in our emotions and moods sometimes. You want him to deal with you in that way. You want him to, again, care for you in those moments. But then you won't even just listen. You won't even be open to receive what he has to say in order to improve the relationship, in order to carry the relationship further. It's important for you to improve your communication skills, ladies, because your man, if you're not married, I'm talking to you future wives, and I'm also talking to the ladies, in relationships, even, the wives, the young wives or whatever, who, are here to also receive edification. But again, to those who aren't married, you're still being vetted. He's still trying to figure out if you are his wife. Will you fit him? Because he holds the key to the marriage, to the proposal. So he has that right to do that, and he should, to make sure he doesn't make the worst decision he can make in his life by attaching himself to you. So you need to improve your communication skills. If this is the man who you really want, if this is the man who you want to marry, and then the both of you should then subsequently follow each other in that direction, to communicating more clearly and more concisely and more in love and not anger and frustration. These are some things you should stop doing. Stop. Cut it out. Purge it from your life. Don't drive him to anger and frustration. So don't antagonize him. Don't be using your fingers, pointing at him, getting up in his grill, disrespecting his space, wanting him to unleash wrath and anger. Don't do that. That is a turnoff. That is immature. That isn't ladylike. Stop trying to get the last word too, girl. I understand. It's hard sometimes. And you have things to say. But sometimes just zip it. No need to get the last word. If you got his message, if you understand, just leave it alone. Let it be. Ponder on it. But don't always try to get the last word. Stop chopping down your relationship every chance you get by doing that. Conversation at a time. When he comes to you with a critique or a way that you can improve your communication skills or be a better, wife, be a better girlfriend, be a better fiance to him. Stop deflecting. Stop saying, well, you do this, you do that. Like, if you truly feel that way, just bring it up when he does it. But when he brings you something, don't bring something back to him in that way, like, well, you did that, and then you did that on that day, then you did that on that day. He came to you to talk about you and to talk about how you can improve. Hey, baby, this is the issue. This is what I'm not liking. You may be doing it, but again, it's the problem. He's not against you. He doesn't like the problem. For my believers out there, God says he doesn't hate you. He hates the sin that you're doing. Similar concept, ladies. The man, it's not like he's coming to you like, I can't stand you. He's saying, I can't stand when you do this, when you make the conscious decision to do something that pisses me off. That's what he's saying. So he's like, hey, let's fix this. Let's not do this. Let's not carry this on, because it will affect the relationship. Hi, Eugene. Thank you for joining me. Men can take that as a disrespectful action when you're rolling your eyes when he says something. Control them eyeballs, girl. Don't do it. Don't let that first go. You better hold it. Because if he sees you, he's either going to note it in his head or he's going to say something out of his mouth about it. But more than likely, if his eyeballs were in your direction, he noticed you did it. And he's not going to like that. Stop it. And that neck roll, that's just way too much. That's ghetto. That isn't ladylike. It isn't tasteful. Just cut the neck rolling out altogether, okay? Lastly, under things that you should stop doing is playing the dozen. Who knows what playing the dozen is? Women play it very well. Airing out laundry. Bringing up things that you probably shouldn't say. Saying unnecessary things. Well, you was doing this and then that, and I remember, and then, I know why you saying this, or I know why this is and that, because of your childhood, and because your so-and-so did this to you, and you start just word vomit. Just starts coming out of your mouth. Stop it. That is not arguing fair. That can drive him away from you. Because again, you're reacting off of emotions and anger and frustration. That is unhealthy. That is not a healthy way to communicate with anybody. He is your man. And this will pass. Do not allow the things that come to your come to your, your mind, and then out of your mouth, fracture your relationship. Again, do not lose your relationship one conversation at a time, one argument at a time, one neck roll or, mouth pop or whatever at a time. It doesn't matter how pretty you are. It doesn't matter how big your behind is. It doesn't matter how much you twerk or cook or clean for him. It doesn't matter how much sweet loving you give him. Eventually, he's going to get tired of being disrespected, of being unheard, of being insulted by you, by the woman who he loves, by the woman who's supposed to be his safe place. But you're beating him upside the head instead. That is not what a helpmate should do. You're supposed to be his peace, not him dreading going home after work. For those of you who are just coming in, this is what we're talking about. And then we're going to move on to things, ladies, that you should consider.